you gonna do? You're never gonna feel anything?
We're gonna specifically be water reviewing endgame because that's something that we can really focus up on. Basically, this game, he has a lot of mats in half-half. This is actually a really cool game. I actually think this will give you a lot of insight into not only endgame, but a lot of his confidence and also his smart. So like, he's not just confident for no reason. He is actually really smart at the same time. So I'll show you an example of why he's really smart in the final heal off, and I think you guys will appreciate it. Playing aggressive sometimes is the best defense, right? If you know someone's keying you because, you know, they want the mats or whatever, don't be afraid to go for edits and shoot them back. Like if you hit them for 50, they'll get scared. And if you don't want to fight, then they'll stop fighting you. They'll do what you want. So now polarize is going to go away. He knows he's going to pad for moving, right? And so if he knows he's going to pad, he has a lot of time before he has to pad, right? He doesn't need to pad right now. He can wait like a little bit longer to let front side of zone expose itself. You see how the storm walls are here? It can be over here, which means he can go further in and waste less mats overall. Mero hears polarized footsteps in the background and immediately turns around and gets this kill. So he doesn't tunnel on one thing ever, right? He really makes sure that he's always focused on several things at once. Like if he hears something else while he's focused on one task, he will change. He's very flexible in that sense. So he bases up after the pad. I want you guys to notice right away, really key aspect of what he's doing right now is the fact that he's scuffed tarping. He doesn't full tarp. And that's something that if you watch Tayson a lot, he never does this as well. Like in solo cash cups and end games and solos in general, it's a really bad idea to full tarp when you don't have to. Right? And Mero has good maps, like really good maps, because he padded in. To get in zone right now, he just doesn't need to cover everything out. Doesn't cover his left, right? Side jumps to change layers. Walls ramps off his back and ramps his front in case there's anyone in front. There isn't. And then just boxes here, right? A really good way to make sure you're not burning a lot of mats. A lot of people will full tarp this and then, you know, get in a really bad position because they use 30 builds to move like 3 boxes, which is not a good idea. He has a pad right now, which means he could pad if he needs to get ahead. If the zone pull is like the worst case scenario, which is top right. That's the furthest away from where Mero is. So he sees this kill as well, gets this kill as well. One thing I don't understand is why he didn't go for the mats, but I think that's just the fact that he's in a tournament. He has to worry about a lot of things, so he won't play everything perfect. Gets hit here, messes up, blocks off his sides, and then pads. Right? Get ahead. Get away from the guy who's chasing him. And notice something I want you guys to notice. So only people that know he's cracked really are the people that were close to him. Like these guys, right? The guys he were fighting. These guys have no real information on the fact that Mero's cracked. So once he gets into a new area, he's really safe. Like no one's gonna really pressure him. Because Bully, if he looks over at Mero, he's pretty much gonna assume that he's fully HP. Unless you saw him get cracked back here. But mostly these two guys are the people that know you're cracked. Everyone else doesn't really know. So once you pad ahead, you're gonna actually have a really easy time popping out all your heals. Okay, gets in. Again, notice how his final ending position is a full box, but all the stuff beforehand is actually just scuffed tarps again. Same concept that I talked about in first moving, right? First moving, he pads, and then scuffed tarps that little extra distance that he needs to get into zone. That scuffed tarp is so important. Make sure you're doing that, and it's really nice to side jump at times if you want to make sure that, you know, someone on your layer doesn't notice you. And if they do, you're already off that layer by the time they notice you. It's a really good thing to do. Scuffed tarp again. He hears someone, this guy, really close to him, so he overbuilds a little bit because you heard that person. It's always nice to make sure you never run out of hards, right? So it's if you're like 80 metal only, just like Mero, switch to your wood because you want that metal to be used in a full box situation, right? Not like a tarp. You don't want to waste your metal on tunnels. He needs an impact. If he doesn't get an impact, he will not win this game. 100%. This is not enough mats right now. 34 builds is not enough mats to win the game. So he needs a kill. He's gonna look for it, right? But like he won't just force any off the first opportunity that he sees. He's gonna slowly play it, and like if an opportunity is too hard to go for, he won't go for it. He'll make sure that he goes for the ones that are really easy. So first off, he cuts off to the left because he knows that this is dead side, or like at least this area is really empty, right? This section of the map. So he gets over here and then does a really clean 2-mat tarp, right? Just like this, and doesn't cover off his left side, right? Doesn't need to. And then when he's about to box, he blocks off his back. Really important, right? So that someone, you know, sneaking past him doesn't get an angle from this way, right? Which is really awkward for Mero. Now, once he's frontside, he owns a lot of builds on low ground, so he has a lot of edits, which is really important, which allows him to go for a lot of opportunities that end up near him, right? And he just has a bunch of edits on people, which allows him to get that impact. So if you want to get impact, go low ground, especially if the terrain's really even, which in this case it is. Go low ground and spam your builds there, right? If you have a bunch of edits that way, you can actually get a lot of kills. Right now, you can hear it, the fact that Height's fighting, right? So he looks up. He knows this is getting, you know, fought. As you can hear the shotgun shot, and then sprays it out from the back in the storm. Make sure you, when you do spray it out, you go all the way back storm, so that no one, you know, if someone notices that you're spraying it out, they don't go back and hold it. Right now, this is impossible to hold. And as they're fighting right now because they're in the same box. Instead of, you know, spraying at them, just take height. You have the mats too, right? The key thing about that impact that he got is the mats that he got from that allows him to go for height. If he didn't get that impact, it wouldn't have been able to, you know, it wouldn't have been a good choice. He controls this guy, takes him out. Really simple, I think. Nothing that crazy, but at this point, I think everyone really knows how to play height. The hard part is getting it. So basically, it's a 1v1v1v1. So he's slowly going to take out a lot of people. This guy's not looking at him. That's why he's not building. Mero's not going to build because this guy doesn't have his crosshair on Mero. So he feels really safe just spamming AR on this guy. A lot of people would try to go for a piece control in this position, but why? It is so unnecessary. Don't need to. Because if you try to box him, he's probably going to turn around to look at you. You know what I mean? This guy's trying to get away, clearly. So then Mero can just keep spraying. So really pay attention. If you don't see the enemy's face, you see their head, but you don't see their face, keep shooting. Someone takes height, but notice, what's Mero's mat count? He can totally take it again. Right? His mat count is so absurdly high compared to the enemies. And I haven't even looked at the enemies' mat count, but we can check. One build. Right? And then the other guy. 33 build. So you know that Mero is the #1 mat count in the game. Because for heal off zone, 68 build is a ridiculous amount of mats, right? So Mero knows he had the leverage to go for height. It doesn't matter if this guy even has 20 build. Mero still owns it, right? Like, do you see that? So even though he loses it, he has the confidence to go for it because he has 600 mats. That's a lot. Goes for a lot of sprays, right? One thing I want you guys to notice here, really important, this other guy has a chug cannon. So does Mero, right? It's actually bugged, but there's a chug cannon here. Mero owns one. And this is the problem, right? Because now you know both of them are white HP. You know the enemy has a chug cannon because you can hear it. He shoots it right now, right? Again, you won't be able to hear it in the screen share, but that's the case right now. So Mero has a good amount of mats. But also one thing to know, once this storm gets really small, it actually takes a lot of skill to make sure you don't get a tick for the very last second. And I'll show you this, right? We'll just watch the health bars of both players. And Mero's noticing this, right? Look at Mero's camera. He's looking down, right? So he's paying attention to whether this guy's tanking storm earlier than him or not. And if this guy does, then Mero wins, right? Because Mero knows he has 5 charges in his chug cannon. It's the best case scenario, right? So watch this. No one, both people on white HP. Mero knows this because you can literally see this guy in safe zone, right? So we'll continue. Just holding because Mero has a lot of mats. You don't need to fight. This is the whole purpose, right? You don't need to force a fight right now when you know you have kill off guaranteed, right? You don't need to force it. He's looking down. Notice this. He's looking down. He knows this guy's down here, right? Because you can see it. But like they're both really trying their hardest to stay in zone, right? No one ticks the zone. Like look how far. Like no one's ticked yet, right? Look how small this circle is. But then notice the other guy. Most people will actually make this mistake. Mero still hasn't ticked, by the way, right? And then look. If you look from Mero's perspective, you know where the safe zone was. Where my mouse was, it was right here. You can see that the enemy's not there yet, which means he took a tick first, which allows you to actually start healing off. So storm's closed fully. You can now guarantee that both players are ticking, except for the fact that the enemy ticked first because Mero saw it. He was on the edge like this, right? So he's looking down. He sees the enemy didn't go all the way into safe zone for the last second, and Mero did, which means Mero's gonna have higher white HP. And now Mero, knowing this, look what he does. He books it. He starts running. Because you know he won. He knows it. The only way Mero loses right now is that he fights the other guy. There's no need. He just fully runs. And I actually want to see this because I don't think this guy uses a zip line to get over. Right? But the key thing is Mero doesn't lose his whites in the process of getting hit. And also, one thing to note, he just doesn't let him hit his whites. Because if this guy gets a hit on his whites, Mero loses. So he just builds. There's no need.